Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of Supercoach Swordplay. My name is John and as always I'm joined by my co-host Ryan. Mate, how you doing? It's been bloody ages since we've had a chat. We didn't upload last week, obviously due to personal reasons on your behalf, but new week, mate, how you doing?
Very well, Johnny. I haven't spoken a little while, mate, which is a little bit weird for us, but obviously in lockdown, both of us down in Victoria, so I'm remote teaching at the moment from home, so a lot of WebEx meetings, a lot of time behind the computer, trying to teach my two, homeschool them, so that's been a little bit of a mission, mate. I'll tell you what, been fighting like cat and dog, so I'm looking forward to getting back to school, particularly get a bit of a break from my two sons, mate. Love them to death. But we're getting over each other's company at the moment, mate. But yeah, apart from that, just trying to stay safe, trying to stay healthy. Obviously, the mother-in-law at the moment is going through a bit of a tough time there with cancer. So I really do appreciate, mate, all of the lovely messages, the support that I've received from the Supercoach community and from yourself, mate. Thank you very much for donating today. That was very, very generous of you, mate. I really, really do appreciate that. And for the other blokes that have also done that, that money will go to a really, really good cause. But yeah, apart from that, mate, just trying to get through the days, you know, watch a bit of footy here and there. How about yourself, buddy? What have you been up to during lockdown? You still working and getting out and about?
Yeah, I'm still working. Luckily, like where I am, we're not really affected a whole lot. Footy's a bit interesting. It's inconsistent. Like, I don't even know if we're playing this weekend, to be honest, because the team that we're up against have a lot of Melbourne players. So it's just such a shit show if I'm completely honest. But yeah, all in all, pretty cruisy, mate. Nothing compared to what you're going through. Being a remote learning teacher, it must just be absolutely radical. And I feel like the viewers do not know this, but you're like on the edge of metropolitan country. So yeah, what a pain in the ass it must be. You're in the country, but you got to commute to the metropolitan area to teach. So yeah, it must be an absolute pain in the ass, mate. And yeah, on your family, mate. Well, absolute commiserations by my behalf on your mother-in-law, and I hope that everything's okay. I hope Lisa's okay, and you guys are traveling. Like keep staying strong, and what you've done, you've created a fundraiser on your YouTube channel specifically for Cancer Cancel, and yeah, couldn't be more proud of you, mate. And as you said, I donated. A few others donated. It's a great cause. Whether you donate $70 or a couple of bucks, every donation counts. And what a great cause it is. I stand beside you right there, mate. And I hope she pulls through it, and hopefully all's well and ends well with your family, mate. I couldn't imagine what I'll be like if the doctor told me that I had cancer. It'd probably be up there with my top 3 biggest fears. It would just be the most gut-wrenching thing you could ever hear. So yeah, terrifying. I hope everyone's doing okay, mate.
Much appreciated, Johnny. And thank you, as I said, to everyone else that has sent through those wonderful messages of support. It does mean the world to us. And yeah, all money that does get raised through the channel will go straight to the Cancer Cancel. Obviously, it's close to all of our hearts. I think that all of us have known someone, whether it be a friend or a family member, that's battled this bloody terrible disease. So the quicker that we can find a cure for it, then the better, mate. So yeah, thanks to everyone that has donated so far. Much appreciated.
Yeah, 100%. And there's another thing I do want to talk about. Now, this is a Supercoach podcast, I know, but a little bit of housekeeping is something I've been thinking about during the week. And I myself, I'm not someone that gets affected with AFL social media and you know, the footy classified, but I saw this thing on AFL 360 and it actually made me quite emotional. It was towards racism with the Tex Walker controversy in terms of Robbie Young, and I think Jason Dunstall was on there and Jared Waitley, I'm pretty sure. Like they got rid of Mark Robinson on AFL 360, but yeah, they were on there and they got Eddie Betts on and they were talking about the whole situation. And seeing Eddie Betts, like he got really emotional, like he started crying, and the poor bloke, like he's just been a huge inspiration to many, especially in the Indigenous culture. He sets the tone harder than any other Indigenous person I've ever seen in my time, and I think, yeah, I just feel so bad for him, mate. Like, I'm not Indigenous at all, but if I was, I couldn't begin to explain how frustrating it would be to be called a black ape or a monkey or whatever racial comments you receive. Overall, it would just be so exhausting. He did mention that word. It was mentally and physically exhausting for him and frustrating. And there's only so much you can do. And this isn't a political podcast, but the fact of the matter is, if you're a super coach, like, you're a person, and people all have their opinions. And if you're listening, what I will say is, if you're in the minority of somebody that does come across quite racist, especially towards an Indigenous person, I think you just need to check yourself, because there's absolutely no need for it whatsoever. And yeah, look, I won't go into it a whole lot more, because, as I said, I don't like getting political, especially on the Supercoach podcast. But yeah, my opinion, mate, it's just disgusting, and not that I want to put a huge stop to it, because that's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. But yeah, I do want to call it out. And if you're watching this as well, and you see someone send racial remarks to an Indigenous person, or any culture for that matter, make a stance and call it out when you see it, because yeah, it's quite disgusting, mate. I'm not sure if you have any of your own viewings on it that you would like to add, but that's sort of my take on it, mate. I'll leave it at there. And what are your thoughts of the whole situation, Ryan?
I can't really add much more to what you said, Johnny. I think you summed it up perfectly, mate. You know, at the end of the day, we're all humans. Doesn't matter what colour skin you got, doesn't matter what gender you are, sexuality, it's all irrelevant, mate. You know, as long as you're a nice person, that's all that matters, you know. And I think that lots of the people that, you know, we know Tex is obviously a public figure, but there's lots of keyboard warriors out there that, you know, get behind the screen without any identity. You don't know who it is, and just throw out all this trash, you know. And it's just not good enough, mate. So I hope that stops. Is it realistic? I'm not too sure, but hopefully more people get educated about the issue, because it does cut people really, really deep, and there's no place for it, I don't think, Johnny. So, yeah, that's all I can really add to what you said. I think you summed it up really well, bud.
And I'll add to that. I love that word that you just used, educated. And whether or not you're a parent or it's a workplace and someone is being incorrectly racist, I think it's up to us, or whoever in the situation, to educate that person, not have a go at them and say, look, there's no need for it, and that's not how we talk to each other. So yeah, you capped that off really nicely, and I completely agree with that. The way I see it is, I don't care if you're black, white, gay, straight, the list goes on. If you're nice to me, mate, I'll be nice to you. That's who I am as a person, and I stick pretty strong beside that. But I won't go into it anymore. We'll get into the positive stuff. We'll get into Supercoach. This is what you clicked on the video for. So here it is. DR, the weekly review. I know you're killing it, mate. Top 200, you beauty. How do you feel? Talk us through it.
I didn't think I'd get here, Johnny, this season anyway. I thought it was a little bit out of reach. But look, the last month, it's been pretty good. You know, I've got a little bit lucky here and there. Look, Cop Dangerfield's 21, which wasn't ideal. Josh Kelly was laid out. So on the Friday night, I thought this is going to be a very, very bad week, you know. But in the end, I had a couple of players that really came home strong. Jack McRae as a captaincy really helped. Titch, another big 150. But round score was 24.52. Overall rank now is 192. So as you said, inside that top 200, which I'm wrapped about. And also managed unbelievably to get through to all 10 of my league prelim finals. So I'm not too confident that I'll get up in all of those, because I've got some pretty stiff competition. And when I say stiff competition, mate, you can't get any stiffer than playing Supercoach Mama. So I've got her in one of my prelim finals. Oh, that's going to hurt. So I'm praying for a miracle from the Supercoach gods this week, but not looking likely for that one in particular. But how about yourself, Johnny? Did you cop any injuries, mate? How did the round go for you?
Did I cop any injuries? Jeez, pretty stupid question. Look, I think it's the same thing, different week, mate. How am I doing? I say it every time, but not as good as you, mate. So I'm just not bad, but you know, I'd much rather be in the top 1%, let alone 2%. Wouldn't mind wouldn't mind it at all. But mate, I've gone down the top 1%. I was in the top 3%, but we plummeted again. A lousy ass score of 2,286, which was a top 13% score. Not going to cut the mustard on this occasion, mate. And when you drop 363 spots in the rankings, you can expect to be in the top 4%. I'm not too bullish on it at the moment. I'm happy to be quite outrageous with the VC and greedy because I have absolutely nothing to lose. And as you know, mate, I've got the notes out for 2022. I don't really care anymore. So this podcast is more just a bit of fun and not even Supercoach to me. So, but yourself, mate, that is just a super effort. How do you do it every single year? Blokes may not know this at all, or viewers in general, but I've never been in the top 1% ever. And then you just get there consistently. Like, is it tactical? What do you do, mate? Because it's such a great way you play. You're not greedy. You managed to get that starting team perfectly in. And you were telling me before off air that you were 21st overall with total points just for the captaincy, which, mate, I know you're a teacher, but you can't teach that.
Oh, look, mate, look. The thing with this game, right, and I reckon it's a little bit like poker in a way, the fact that, because I follow poker pretty closely, the professional poker players, love Daniel Negreanu and all those type of blokes. But look, one thing that you notice with poker is that there is certainly luck involved. But at the end of the day, you see these pros that are consistently up there, every tournament. And there is a lot of skill involved in the game. But look, a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. And I think more than anything, it's the experience. I've played this game for a very, very long time now. And you learn your lessons not only every week, but particularly every year. So there'll be certain mistakes I've made in the past, or I'll say to myself, right, next year, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. Mind you, I do make a lot of the same mistakes again. Things just happen in the season. I've got Josh Kelly in my side, Travis Boak in my side. What the heck am I doing, right? But look, I think at the end of the day, mate, it's all about your strategy. It's about getting that starting team as right as you can. I don't think there's any such thing as a perfect starting team. You can't get everybody, but if you can nail those rookies and particularly those mid prices. So if you would have started with your, I don't know, Zeeble, Impey and Danaher this year, maybe with a Warner down there, for example, then you're pretty much flying from the start because you've got those blokes that are not only scoring well, but are generating lots and lots of cash. And if you have to end up jumping on these blokes in 3-4 weeks' time, then you're down a couple of trades and you're down 200 to 400K. So I don't think there's one simple formula for consistency, but just, you learn your lessons. I think speak to a lot of people. We have a heap of chats. We got George who we chat to, lots of other blokes on Twitter and Supercoach Talk that I've been in contact for years and years. You bounce ideas off each other. What do you think about this bloke? Another good thing I think is if you've got mates that support a particular team as well. So I know you're obviously an Essendon bloke. If I've got any Essendon questions, then I'll ask you about that. What do you think about Draper? What do you think about Zerrett and your parish type? So I think that's some really good advice. If you've got someone close to you that barracks for a certain team, they're a really passionate supporter, then pick their brains. Who do you think's the next up and coming player? Who's going to fill this particular role going into next season? So, yeah, I know I've thrown a little bit out there, mate. But yeah, that's just some general things, I suppose, that can help you to achieve a bit of success in the game.
Yeah, once again, you covered that really well. I think the dagger in my season was not starting Warner and Impey, and perhaps even worse, jumping on them when the ship had already sailed. You use that term quite a fair bit in your stock market videos, and yeah, what a great term it is. When the ship sailed, it's gone. So I feel like, yeah, I traded in Impey for 400K. What do you end up on? 400K. So it wasn't much to be gained, I suppose. So huge setback. And yeah, ever since round one, mate, I've been playing catch up all season. DR, do you have a headline for me this week? What do you got?
Yeah, well, headline for this week, Johnny, is a bit of an apology. It's I forgive you, Titch, because I was giving this man hell during the season. He was just such a disappointing pick for me. Traded him in for Dangerfield in round 2 when Danger got robbed out. For, what was it, 4 weeks, I think it was from memory. And he was just so up and down, just no consistency in his game. A 71 week, a 120 odd the next, another 70, a 140. It was just killing me. And I tell you what, if he didn't have a friendly buy, which was around 12 buy for me, if his buy was in 13 or 14, I would have likely traded him out of my side. But after the buy, this man has just not let me down. He hasn't gone under the 100, and I'll read out his scores. I've got them written down here. These are all post-buy scores. He's gone 134, 114, 118, 110, 131, 171, if you don't mind, 111, 132, and a 150 last week. So if you managed to pick this bloke up after he had his bye, wow, what a selection that would have been. And at the time, I would not have advocated it because the data suggested that you'd have a good week, then you'd have a bad week. It was just a real roller coaster pick. So, yeah, Tommy Mitchell, thank you very much for your last 2 months. I'm sorry that I ever doubted you, my man.
Yeah, that's not too bad, mate. And he was frustrating at the start of the year. I feel like Champion Data was doing him quite dirty. It's good to see them come to their senses and reward the 2018 Brownlow medalist. DR, my headline for this week is Essendon ease their way into the 8. Now, I will not share how they do that because that's for later on in the video. Won't reveal that one, but it's a bit of a smoky. And for what they did on the weekend, mate, against the Bulldogs, I'm such a proud Essendon supporter. And I've never said that before. I've been barracking for them since maybe I was about 10 or 11, since I've really started caring about football. Now, it will come to no surprise, but they have been quite underwhelming, I think is an understatement. And what they've done this year, whether they make finals or not, mate, I'm so proud of how they've played, and the sky's the limit for 2022. But can I just say, the performance against the Bulldogs on the weekend was probably the best performance I've ever seen from our footy club, because many do not know, but we haven't beaten this mob in the Doggies since 2014, mate. They just do us over every single time. I've got mixed feelings about it because I did go to the iconic 21 goal in a row demolition when McRae and Bonampally were tearing it up. That was good to see, the Supercoach side of things. But yeah, I was there with my brother Doyle and we were just watching on going, how can we barrack for this mob? What are they playing for? And I remember the week after it, Matty Lloyd had a bit of a rant and said he was very saddened to be an Essendon supporter and or Essendon player, former, whatever you want to label it as. But they've turned that around dramatically. And we can't even forget 2 metre Peters, 7 goals straight.
How was that? Yeah.
2 of those were just bangers from outside 50. I didn't think he had that in him. And if he can just keep playing him forward, that is a perfect target. And his confidence will be up. I didn't think that we would make the 8 at all after Friday night with GWS upsetting the Cats over there. I thought we were done for sure because, well, they're clear. They got an easy draw as well. I can't remember who they play, but it's quite, there's nothing in it. We're Essendon, we've got the Dogs, and then it's easy. We've got Gold Coast and Collingwood. You'd think in current form we would get that, but I thought the Dogs were going to hand us over and do a little bit of damage to our percentage. But we've maintained the percentage and even better, we've gathered the 4 points. So if we can hold on this year, we might just sneak in the 8. And yeah, I won't share how it's going to happen. This is my prediction, but I'll leave that for a segment later on the video because I do want to discuss that furthermore, mate. Enough out of me. This is a Supercoach podcast, not an Essendon podcast. So I'll leave it there, DR.
Oh, mate. Well, I'll tell you what. It's been as if no one wants that 8th spot. You know, we've thought, this team's in. They're going to, all of a sudden they come out. I think Freo might have been in the 8 previous to the Brisbane game, and then they find themselves 3 or 4 spots out of the 8 all of a sudden. It's just one of those seasons, but I love it. I love the fact that we still don't know who's locked in yet because that makes footy exciting, particularly this next couple of weeks it's coming up. So your boys at the moment, though, Johnny, I must admit I had them probably finishing bottom 4. I don't know if you're a bit more bullish earlier on the season about your own boys, but I just didn't see this coming whatsoever. I thought, you've lost Fantasia, no Joey Danaher. And look, Danaher wasn't on the park very often in the last few years, but I just thought Essendon were a bit of a shambles. But I think it's this new blood that you've got in, the Cox, Perkins type. The package is playing well. Parrish has gone to a new level. Draper, I think, is going to be a fantastic ruckman going into the future. I think things are just starting to click for the Bombers at the moment. And as you mentioned, I reckon it's a pretty exciting time to be barracking for Essendon. And I expect in the next 5 years for them to be a really, really good side, bud.
100%. And 2 Meter Peters Cup and all the comments now, all the positive feedback, which is great. He deserves every bit of it. But I think people are forgetting that we still got big Harrison Jones to return that forward line, and he's probably my favourite out of the bunch of rookies that we've received from the draft. I think, and he wasn't even in last year's draft, let alone a first rounder. He's a second rounder from 2019. We got for nothing because I think he was linked up to Eston. He was at the Calder Cannon, so. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know he's from Gisborne anyway, but yeah, we got him for bugger all, and what a pick it was. So yeah, I'm really happy as an Essendon supporter, mate. And yeah, I don't care if we don't do any damage this year because yeah, I'm very sure that 2022 is going to be our year. I won't ramble on too much because that's gone on way too long. We're up to your rant now, and what do you choose, mate? Take your bloody pick because there's so many things, especially on Friday night, that grinded a lot of coaches' gears. What was the standout for you?
Well, there was a few things to choose from, wasn't there? You know, do you go with the injuries? Do you go with the suspensions? You know, talk about inconsistency, something like Joel Selwood and then Toby Green. Look, I don't get it, mate. But look, I'm going to try to stick to Supercoach with this one. And my rant is, what the ruck? You know, what's going on with the 2 big boys, Gawn and Grundy? You know, I'm very much an advocate for set and forget the start of the year. Just get the 2 big boys in. You want to finish with both of them. But this year, I think it's been a little bit different. I would give anything just to have Sean Darcy in my side at the moment because he's been absolutely killing it. And lately, Gawn and Grundy have been very underwhelming for me. Now, Gawn at the start of the year, he had a massive patch, so 140s, 170, 150, and we just chucked our captaincy or vice captaincy on him each and every week without hesitation. You just knew that a good score was going to come from Gawn. But lately, mate, just hasn't been in form. And from round 13, he's only gone above 125 twice from round 13. So that says a fair bit, doesn't it? Someone that's more than capable of a 160 plus. What's the reason for that? Well, I think I need to give you a bit of a call out here and a bit of credit, Johnny, because you mentioned at the start of the year that you think that there is the potential for Luke Jackson to affect Maxi Gawn's scoring. Now, has that been the reason? I think it's gone a long way to Max Gawn's average coming down, or his ceiling coming down. And look, keep in mind, he's still averaging about 119. So he's had a fairly solid season Supercoach-wise, but just not what I expected from him, mate. So really good call from you in regards to Luke Jackson. He's just getting a lot more time on the ruck than I thought he would. And quickly with Brody Grundy, last 4 scores for him, 85, 88, 110 and a 107. So high score of 110 in last month. It's just not good enough for someone who I selected as my big dog at that R2 position. So a little bit disappointed for me, mate. What the ruck is going on with them, I'm not too sure. But next year, it's going to be a really interesting discussion. Who do we start with in the rucks? It's going to be a big, big decision for me personally. I don't know what I'm doing at the moment. Don't know if you've got any ideas yourself, but how are you assessing the ruck situation at the moment?
Yeah, I've got some great ideas for 2022, but I'll leave that for the pre-season. I'm going to tease the audience there. But on Gawn, mate, I did call it with Jackson, but I didn't think it would happen like so badly. Like it's just, we didn't realise how much Gawn's scoring would plummet. It's kind of like Seagull's scoring being affected by Dawson. It's like the same sort of dilemma. But I don't think it's Jackson that's costed Gawn. I feel like it's Ben Brown because Gawn was hammering like 160s. I went 170 plus against Hawthorn at the start of the season. But I'm pretty sure he's top 6 or 7 for overall points. So, you can't forget the start of the year for him. But then Ben Brown comes in the side. Where's Luke Jackson going to go? They start him on the bench. And when Jackson's on the bench, you know it's carnage for Gawn. So, yeah, I feel like this is just the end of an era for big Maxi Gawn. He's been superb for so long. But, yeah, probably a player that we want to forget about in 2022, I would imagine. DR, mate, it's time for Supercoaches Who. What have you got to kick us off in this segment, mate?
Well, mate, the first one, I just actually found this out in the last week, is Supercoaches Who finish in the top 1,011. You get some pretty cool prizes. Now, it's not the 50 grand, it's not 5 grand. There's not too much cash going around, but I'll tell you what, this is what you get if you finish in the top 1,011. So you get some KFC socks, a chicken drumstick keyring, and a $15 voucher. So I'm up for that, mate. I'm up for that because I don't know if anyone knows this, but I'm a big sock man. It's probably a little bit strange, a little bit weird and unique, I suppose, but I'm known for my wacky socks, particularly at school. So I've just got a few random ones here, mate, that I got out of the drawer. So there's some lemon and fish, not too wacky there. Some cockatoos. What would people think if I said I got a cockatoo on my sock, mate? Yeah, to play a bit of a play on words there. Now this one, mate, this is Supercoach relevant. The seagull and the chips, mate. So special socks here, the seagull and the chips. What have we got? Some ice creams here. I've got a whole heap of others. But this is why I want the KFC ones, mate, because I do have the Big Mac McDonald's ones. So if I could add the KFC socks to my sock collection, I would be absolutely stoked, mate. And I tell you what, that $15 voucher will do very nicely with probably a Zinger stacker box, I think, Johnny. So shout out to KFC, shout out to Supercoach and the Herald Sun. Thank you very much for donating these extra prizes. And lots of people ask, why is it the top 1,011? And their reason is just the secret herbs and spices. Why go 1,000? You got to be a little bit different. So yeah, Supercoach who finished in the top 1,011, you're getting some pretty cool prizes.
Oh, if you haven't in your Supercoach sacrifices, you definitely have on this occasion. But yeah, you've outdone yourself, I reckon, DR. This is unbelievable. But I feel like those KFC Zinger stacker socks will make their way into your sock drawer very, very soon. Fingers crossed. Yes, absolutely. That would be great to see, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did it all. Yeah, that's just that's threw me off. That I don't even know. He brought out the socks, and it's just like
I had them there.
what am I talking? That's just wow. No, great stuff, DR. I love the collection. I love the passion, and you're a great man for Supercoach. I'll kick mine off. I think that's a good time to kick my Supercoaches off. Supercoaches who save cash, e.g. having bowled at F6 like myself, hence why I've just about crumbled to shit, really. I've plummeted quite a fair bit, but that just goes to show how much saving is key and getting those rookies to their absolute peak before you trade them and not being too greedy like I was with my midfield, targeting really expensive guys has resulted in those Shea Boltons, Isaac Heaney's in the forward line. So, yeah, that is quite a massive lesson that I've learned from 2021. And if you're a coach that followed that principle and saved their cash and used it properly, like yourself, you've been doing quite a nice job. Sure, you got a bit unlucky with Brayshaw and Jally, but like overall, like super solid effort. So yeah, I could learn a thing or two from you, mate. And super coaches who are in that candidate, I would be very, very happy with themselves. So yeah, that is my first super coaches who, DR.
Love it, mate. Love it. Well, I tell you what, my second one is super coaches who have super coach notes everywhere around their house. Now, I was doing a bit of a cleanup today, Johnny, in the lounge room, in my room, in the study, and there was one thing in common, all the rooms, my super coach notes. I've got stuff like, I'm just here on the desk, this is random, like I'm talking, mate, the ridiculous amount of, that's all super coach stuff, mate, and there is piles of it. I've just put it into a big pile. I'm talking a stack about that high. So I reckon over the years, I've wasted a bloody tree all up. So I think my mission during the off season is to go out and plant some trees to give a little bit back to Mother Nature because, yeah, mate, it's absolutely crazy. I know that you've got a bit of a system on your laptop, so you get your notes and then you delete them and all the rest. I need to start getting a better system with my notes, mate, because they are absolutely everywhere at the moment, and my wife is not happy with me. So super coaches who have stacks of notes everywhere around the house, try to improve and get a better system. I certainly know that I need to do that. What's your next super coaches who yourself, mate?
Before I tell you what my next super coaches do, I just want to add on to that. We're not moving on that quickly, mate. And your teacher as well. Buddy, I'm shocked that you're not in the doghouse yet, mate. What's going on? You know, there's paperwork everywhere. Your bench in the kitchen is probably just shambled with paperwork. What's going on, Ryan, buddy? Yeah, get your shit together. But no, look, definitely go digital, mate. It'll get you a long way. And I haven't used a book in a long time, and it saved me a lot of rubbish, I suppose. But at the other side, look, the computer's just struggling a bit of storage, a lot of notes and
you can't win either way, can you, mate?
Either way. So I guess, yeah, either way, you're a bit screwed. My second and last Supercoaches Who is Supercoaches Who are top 10 overall with or without Mills. Now, if you're with Mills, which was probably 1 or 2 out of 10, really unlucky because he was my, bias really because I missed him round 1, but he was like the guy that really hurt my season and probably my worst miss because I was so hot on him, had him in my team update and if he wasn't, I thought he was out round 1, but he ended up playing, so I didn't go through with it. But look, how can you predict that? I mean, like COVID protocols and all that, like exposure sites, the stiffest selection I've ever seen because he has been D1 by the length of the Flemington Straight, and for him to go out on, I think 3 occasions now, 2 or 3 occasions he's out. He may be out this week or the following. I'm not sure because I don't actually own him, but super stiff. And we can joke about it all we want, but if you're in the top 10, like there is 50K up for grabs. Like that's game changing. If I got 50K, mate, I'll be putting a deposit on a bloody house. Like that is unbelievable. So yeah, absolute commiserations to whoever fell there. And on the other end of it, if you didn't have Mills and you're in the top 10, fuck, you're luckiest person. Yeah. So you basically you won the lottery. You've been given the money, and yeah, that's crazy stuff. I don't have Mills, but I don't think that matters in my team, mate. But yeah, top 10, it's going to hurt a few people, and I can't imagine what that feeling would be, DR.
Oh, it's so stiff, isn't it? Because it was such a great selection. And, if I go through line by line who I'd love to have on my side, he's easily the defender that I'd love to bring into my side that I don't have. But, he got some issues with his Achilles at the moment, and there's no guarantees
that's the
going to get back whatsoever, mate. So really unfortunate for owners. If you don't have him, you've got a bit of a leg up. But if you do, it's just super bad luck because you can't plan for these type of things. Yeah, commiserations. Really unfortunate, mate. My last Supercoaches Who is Supercoaches Who previously or currently own Andy Brayshaw. Now, I've been an owner this year. I owned him all last year, one of my better starting selections in 2020. But this year, I did bring him in for about 4 to 5 weeks, but ended up flipping him out during the buys. And I was thinking last week, after he got his 190, oh man, this is just the worst trade ever. This is going to absolutely kill me. Yeah, what the hell was I thinking? And then all of a sudden, it just gets flipped on its head in 1 week. The week after, Brisbane finally tagged someone. Brisbane aren't known for putting too much attention into opposition mids. We usually just back our own mids in against the opposition. But my man, and this is my favourite player from Brisbane, Jared Berry. I love Jared Berry. But he went right to Brayshaw, gave him a pretty hard tag. Yeah, kept him to a score under 100, which was pretty cool, and also managed to get him rubbed out at the same time. A bit of contact to the eyes. I really don't like that sort of stuff, but I'm surprised that Brayshaw did it because he's not someone who I view as a dirty type player. I think he seems like a pretty genuine bloke, But yeah, just a disappointing act from him, and all of a sudden, this is just flipped on its head. I've gone from hating myself for trading him out to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back. You ripper that I don't have him this week because I'd be copying most likely a donut, mate. So, yeah, unlucky if you've got him. Yeah, really, really tough this week.
No one saw this coming with Andrew Brayshaw. You think he'll learn his lesson from being assaulted by the thug they call Andrew Gaff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So he'd be the last person I expect to do that. No, there's a whole lot in it, but it was just one of those cowardly acts that you just don't need to do. Give him a week. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how long he got. Whether or not
just a week. Just a week.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, there's no need for that as well. And having the tables turned for you, mate, because yeah, Bokey's been not a bad selection. I know he went 100 plus this week. So yeah, you've really not gotten lucky, but I suppose it's worked out not as bad as you thought it did, because it was only last week, mate, that Brayshaw went 180 plus, and that is game changing. But now it's gone. It's flipped the other way, and here you are in the top 200. Yeah, smiling and full of joy. So yeah, absolutely love that. DR, it is time for our big calls. a segment in which we will state something that the viewers may or may not agree with, and they can be pretty contentious and outrageous. And I already know what I'm going to say. I've flirted with it. I've hinted a bit previously on the pod exactly what it's going to be about, and yeah, it will be about who makes the 8. But I'll let you kick this one off, mate. What have you got for this week?
My big call is that Tuke Miller is a terrible player. He's no good at football.
Wait, what?
So Spills, just don't worry about even looking at this bloke next year. He's going to be just irrelevant when it comes to Supercoach. He's an absolute dud. So, message to everybody is just stay away from Tuke Miller. Stay away from him. He's no good.
I thought he was the right selection, to be honest. I mean, what's because you're so hot on him. He was probably your favourite pod all year, but what's changed? What's going on here, mate? Because you were so hot on this pick, and
look, it's
price next year. Are you too expensive? Is he going to go forward and tag Tom Stewart? Like,
mate, he's just going to be. It'll be a terrible pick. You know, he doesn't know how to tackle. Terrible work rate. He's going to play back pocket. He'll play back pocket next year. I'll guarantee you. He's just do not go near this bloke, mate. Do not go near this bloke. He's just not going to be relevant.
Wait, what'd you say about his tackling?
He can't tackle. He's terrible. Outside type player.
You know he's ranked 2nd overall in tackles behind Steele.
Look, mate, what I'm trying to say is, right, I love this man. But I want him as a pod next year. I want Miller as a pod next year because I'm dirty on myself, Johnny, for not bringing him in because, he was at the 1% mark. And we've had conversations off here all the time. Like, I love this Miller bloke. I love Miller. I reckon it'll work. I need to bring him in, but just never brought him in. And so I'm just absolutely all over this pick next year, Johnny. All over this pick. He will be the first man that I lock into my Supercoach side in 2022. I'm telling you now, he's locked and loaded. He'll have to break a leg or something, and I hope he doesn't. Don't want to jinx anything, but that's what he'd have to do for me not to start him next year, Johnny. I'm just such a huge fan of this bloke. I can't speak highly enough of him, and but at the same time, I want him to be poddish next year. I want him to be my midfield pod. I'm not sure if he will be or not, but I was just trying to put people off him, to be quite honest, mate. But if I am honest, he's just going to be a ripper selection next year, Johnny.
Yeah, mate, I love the pick. I won't say anything on it because the information that we talk about, Tuke, is for us to know and viewers to find out. So, in regards to 2022, that's all I'm going to say, mate, because, that's it. Now, my big call for this week, yes, it does revolve around Essendon making the 8. And how are they going to make the 8? Well, there's always been a bit of controversy. Is it going to be GWS or Essendon that make the 8? Which is it? It's going to be both of them. And who's going to fall out of the 8 for those two teams? West Coast. They are going to absolutely shit the bed. I have not seen a performance like this from West Coast in quite a long time. And similarities to Richmond, I think they've had it. They play Fremantle this week, and I reckon Freo beat them for the first time since 2015. And I reckon it's been a really common thread that West Coast just get the job done. I don't think it's going to be that way. I know they don't have Andy Brayshaw, but you look at blokes like Caleb Sarong, Sean Darcy, these guys are setting the tone if I've ever seen it. And West Coast, they just don't want it anymore. I don't know who West Coast play around 23, but I know it's a top 8 team
It's a Lions. So we've got Collingwood and West Coast in our next 2 matches. So they'll be coming up against us.
Yeah, because they're only, I don't know if they're a game or 2 ahead of GWS and Essendon. I don't know. I haven't looked at the ladder.
Might be one game. I think they're on 40 points. You guys, what, on 36?
38? No, 36. Not 38. Oh, no.
Yeah, so I reckon they're a game. A game in front of you must be half a game in front of GWS because I've got 38 points because I've got the bye, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, hey, could happen, mate. Could happen. Not a bad call at all.
Yeah, because us and GWS, I'm not saying anything now. It's a bit early, but we have a piss and easy draw. We should beat Collingwood. We should beat Gold Coast. Maybe we don't because they're the teams we should beat. We always beat teams that we're not meant to, but I feel like if we want to make the 8, we gotta knock those guys off. And yeah, same as GWS. So they've got an easy draw. I think they play Carlton at some stage, or I don't know. Maybe it was poor preparation. I should have had the fixture in front of me, but I know that is an easy draw. So I'm tipping GWS 7th, Essendon 8th, West Coast a measly 9th spot for the terrible, underwhelming performance they've put on this year. And as soon as we saw them play Collingwood at the MCG, that's where you knew, yeah, it's all over. Melbourne just did what they had to do over there on Monday night. It wasn't a game that they should have smashed them by. It's over at Optus Stadium with a crowd, but they just did what they had to do, mate, and yeah, got the chocolates. And yeah, I reckon West Coast have had it, and I'd love to see GWS and Essendon make the 8 because I think they deserve it quite a lot more than we do. DR, that is the end of this week's podcast. We finally got one out, and yeah, I do apologise to the viewers that from not uploading last week. You can't control what happens outside of it all, unfortunately. But yeah, we're back, and hopefully we get another one up next week. Before we wrap it up, as always, though, DR, what are your captains going through to round 22, and why are these guys going to be your captains, mate?
Super easy this week. Has not been an easier week for our captaincies. For me, vice captain is Jack Macrae. So I know you've got Bont, mate, so you may be interested in doing something like that as well. Unfortunately, I don't have the great man, but Jack Macrae and captain Piggy Oliver. He's playing Adelaide. So, mate, I'm locking this in. The big question is, what's going to be our threshold for the vice captaincy this week? Because we know what Clary's done against Adelaide, 200. You know, he just absolutely dominates against the Crows. And I'm expecting another big score this week. So Macrae into Oliver for me. How about yourself, Johnny? You thinking along the same lines, mate, or going a little bit different?
Yeah, very similar. I'm going to go Bonampally for Oliver. Now, Bonampally went 160 on Hawthorn. No, I shouldn't be going by that because, well, he played Adelaide North and went sub 90. Like, what's going on here? So, I don't know. I kind of want to fail just so I can captain Oliver because I don't think he goes 200. That's a massive ask, but I'm expecting like 140 plus easily. Like, what are they going to do, Adelaide? They're under a lot of pressure at the moment with Taylor Walker and his comments. So they're not rebuilding, but they're mentally rebuilding. They've had a lot of shit go on at that footy club, and I expect Melbourne to go out there and do exactly what they should be doing and just knock them off with ease. They've been hot water themselves. They were 4th on the ladder at some point over the round before Port Adelaide played or something like that, or before they, because they played the last game. So yeah, before they played, they were 4th on the ladder. So to go from 1st to 4th with that percentage, that like, really nice. So I'm expecting a huge response from the D's this week, and I'm expecting big things from Clayton Oliver, but yeah, not too big, mate, because we know what can happen when you get a little bit too greedy with the captaincy. You don't know that because you rank 21st overall for captaincy, but I know exactly how it feels like, mate. It's a bittersweet sort of feeling.
Oh, you've had a couple of tough runs with your captains, haven't you, mate? But I do need to actually give a quick shout out to Supercoach Data on Twitter. So make sure that you follow Supercoach Data. That's where I found this out. He's got some great stuff going on. You get your live ranks from there as well. And I had no idea that I'd actually gone pretty well with my captaincies this year. I thought that I'd butchered it a few too many times, but yeah, to find that out, that was pretty cool actually, mate. So he puts a mountain of work into that. So yeah, everyone make sure you give him a follow. He does a great job, Supercoach Data.
Well said, mate. Well said. DR, another podcast out and about. Thanks for coming on as always. It's an absolute pleasure. And yeah, the swordplay is back. Might not be relevant now, but plenty of content to come over the off season, and I just cannot wait to get into it. When COVID settles down a little bit, as it usually does over the summertime, I'm keen as to get over your joint, have a couple of beers, and get a little bit of a one-on-one podcast. That would be elite. But yeah, for now, mate, thank you heaps, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.
Much appreciated, Johnny. And look, just very quickly before we do go, we know that the views do go down at this time of year because people are running out of trades, losing a little bit of interest. But thank you everyone that has stuck with us. I know that once you do run out of trades, maybe you haven't made your finals you do lose a little bit of interest. So yeah, we appreciate everyone sticking with us, and yeah, we'll be bigger and better in the pre-season and certainly going into 2022. But to chat with you always, Johnny. I'll speak to you some stage during the week again, I'm sure, mate.
No worries, Dale. I'll take it easy, mate.
Good on you, bud. See you, mate.
Yeah.